Tonight, hey, brother, can you?
You are listening to the Doug Stanhope Podcast.
The potato peelings in the sink did not turn into vodka as I had hoped. I only start to need a drink after the liquor stores have closed. I heard you changed your name again, but don't you change your hair. It was the only thing I liked about you in the end. La la la.
Hi, this is Doug Stanhope. I am on hiatus, so filling in for me will be Brett Erickson on the Doug Stanhope Podcast. And now to introduce Brett Erickson is Chad Shank introducing Brett Erickson on the Doug Stanhope Podcast. Hit it, Chad.
You're listening to the Doug Stanhope Podcast. Doug Stanhope is on assignment in Australia. Your guest host tonight is Brett Erickson on the Doug Stanhope Podcast.
This is the Doug Stanhope Podcast. I'm Brett Erickson, and I'm here with two legendary comedians that I rescued from the green room of the Jukebox Comedy Club in Peoria, Illinois. The two had been locked away together for about 10 years before I liberated them and brought them with me to Bisbee, Arizona. Welcome, Richard Pryor.
Hey, bro, what's that?
And Sam Kinison.
Always a pleasure to be part of family entertainment.
You guys have been cooped up in the green room a long time together. Richard, what's it like sharing a room with Sam?
He's in my life every morning at 6 o'clock. He wakes me up. You know, hi, poo-poo. I mean, he don't care. He wants to play.
Oh, that's hilarious. Sam, no. Come on, you guys are from the same town. In fact, Richard, you actually knew Sam's mom when she was pregnant.
Well, I didn't want her to have the baby. I tried to talk her into getting an abortion.
Oh my God, he's killing you, Sam.
I think he's a jerk.
Shit. Turkey?
Pussies like you! Party and
Guys, come on. Oh my God, guys, come on. Guys, stop it, please, come on. Stop. Okay, you get the idea. So most of you know Doug's in Australia, and he left us here at the fort with one task. Podcast. Luckily, Chaille and I knew just how drunk to get. To the podcaster.
Hey, do you want headphones?
No. Should I have some?
No.
Would it be cool?
No. No one ever wants them, but it just...
I mean, yeah. I had headphones when I filled in on the radio a couple weeks ago because I thought that was cool.
You filled in on the radio? Where?
In Peoria.
Well, I know that.
Well, why did you ask where then?
I meant, like, what station? Was it a place where you, like take the comics all the time for
yeah. It was the AM station. It's like the AM talk station of Peoria, Illinois. So, you heard it. It's the Doug Stanhope Podcast starring Brett Erickson. Doug is not in Bisbee. He is in Australia. And I have decided to come to Bisbee now after he's lived here for how many, 10 years? I've never been here before, and I had one stipulation. I would love to come here, but I will only come here if Doug Stanhope is not here. So my requirements were met, and we've moved in.
You threw down the gauntlet. You said, I will only go to Bisbee if I can actually pack everything I own into an SUV and drive 2/3 of the way across the country with a dog.
Yeah. And hey. Her name is Carrie Mitchell, and I find her attractive.
And your girlfriend.
Oh, you meant the dog, the actual.
And
Carrie Mitchell's a beautiful
you could
woman.
only show up here when Doug was not around.
Yes, well, I don't want Captain Buzzkill hanging out, harshing my good times. Yeah, we've been here for 48 hours. It was 1,852 miles from Walnut, Illinois to Bisbee, Arizona. And it's fucking amazing here.
And the last time we heard from you on the podcast was at
was 1,852 miles ago. Yeah, and we drove out here, my girlfriend and I and our puppy dog, and it was we went through Colorado to see an old friend of mine, and we hung out there for a couple of days. And my girlfriend likes to smoke marijuana a lot.
Legal in.
And she was very happy about going. It was her idea to go from. I don't know if you guys. She doesn't know a lot about geography.
Or the world.
Where things are in the world is not something she concerns herself with. So when I said, yeah, we're going to go to Arizona, she's like, yeah, through Colorado, right? I'm like, well, I guess. I mean, it's not really, but yeah, we can. So we went there, and she's been baked. It's been fun. We drove through New Mexico. We were in Silver City, New Mexico, at a Wendy's.
After Colorado,
and we'd been smoking hitters since Denver. So this was like 8 hours later, and maybe through the mountains and through Albuquerque. This is like 1,000 miles later.
Yeah, you left that morning, and
we left Albuquerque. So we'd already been from Denver to Albuquerque. We left from Albuquerque to Bisbee, and we went through the Gila National Forest. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know. And it was beautiful. It was amazing, but it was kind of scary. And like Carrie Mitchell needed to be stoned and have her Xanax in her. Like, it was some sketchy driving.
No longer in Colorado, by the way.
No longer in Colorado. And but so we make it to Silver City, New Mexico, which is this big touristy trap, a part of the National Forest area. And it's, and we stop to eat, and we go to Wendy's, and she goes in first, and I'm doing something in the truck, and so I come in a minute later, and we've both been in the car for like 2 or 3 hours. We got to pee really bad. So I go into the bathroom immediately, and there's someone in the stall, so I go to the urinal, and I start peeing, and then all of a sudden, the stall door opens, and my girlfriend walks out.
How progressive.
And she looks at me, and she goes, and I'm looking over my right shoulder at her like, that's interesting. There's a lot of things you don't expect to see, and she's right there at the top of the list. And you see someone's in the stall like, oh, somebody's fucking dropping it. This is gonna.
I'm gonna make this a quick one.
What sort of slimy fat truckers walking out of here? And then it's my girlfriend flipping her red curly hair. Oh, hey, hi, what? Did I go into the wrong bathroom? Yeah.
One of us did.
And I'm peeing into a urinal, so I'm going to assume it was you.
Yeah.
And the best part was, and this is why I fucking love this woman. She's so funny. She's like, yeah. And when I was coming in here, I looked at the woman who was coming out of the women's room, and my thought was, oh, she just took a big, smelly, dumpy shit, and I got to go in there after her. And she even looked at me like, I'm sorry. And whoever has to go in there. I'm ashamed of myself.
Yeah.
She had this weird look.
Don't judge me.
This look of shame and weirdness on her face.
We all do it.
But it was only after she realized she had gone into the wrong bathroom that she realized that woman's look was not shame and disgust at her own actions. It was, why are you going into the men's room?
You're turning right, young lady, when you should be turning left.
Right. Yeah, it all came
We
together.
should be brushing shoulders right now.
She was straight up Colorado high the whole way from there to here.
I love that she walked into the men's room thinking it was a ladies' room, past a urinal. An open urinal.
Didn't bring up any red flags.
No.
She's like, hey, maybe they're doing things differently.
And what would have happened if the stall was taken? Would she have sat
She'd have
down?
Been waiting. Yeah.
Sat down in the urinal?
Or she'd have been waiting for this fat, greasy trucker to fucking squeeze out a fucking Wendy's Frosty. And
she comes out of the bathroom to you and goes, I took a piss in there, but my back's all wet.
Yeah, it's gross.
I don't know what they do here.
Yeah, so then we make it to Bisbee on a Sunday night, just in time. And obviously, there's so many people know the Bisbee routine here. If you're listening to this, obviously, so it's football Sunday.
Wait, hold on a second.
What?
You've known Doug.
Did I jump ahead?
You've known Doug.
Nobody cares about that.
No, since the desert party.
Yeah,
going way back.
The original desert party.
And you've never been to Bisbee.
Never been to Bisbee.
But ever since we did 6 or 7 years of the desert party.
Yeah.
And that whole time, like half of that was Doug had the compound out here. And
Yeah,
then after
never
that, you never came. There was football, 4th of July,
No,
Super Bowl.
because in my real life, besides comedy, I also worked for. I built swimming pools, and in the winter we were always laid off. So in the winter I was always poor. So everyone always came here for New Year's Eve or the Super Bowl, and I'm like, well, I can't go across the country. I have no money.
It's a timing issue.
And actually, I can't go across the country to Doug's house. I have no money. Is the sentiment that 90% of Doug's fans should heed.
Did you say 90? I think you left a 9 off of that.
Yeah.
99.
Yeah. So many people are like, oh, I don't have any money. I shouldn't go. I'm going. I'll be there tomorrow. So I've never been here before. So
no, we've interviewed James Inman.
Right.
So
you guys know.
You know about the people, the one-way tickets.
Yeah. So we got here on Sunday night just in time to watch my Chicago. See, I'm a Bears fan, and we walk into the Bears-Packers game, and the fun house is filled with Packers fans. I've been
Bisbee
on the road for 1,000 miles.
There's a few teams,
Ugh.
and Green Bay is one of them that they will all show up at the fun house.
Yeah, they did.
And you showed up at kickoff.
At kickoff.
With One Block Ben.
Yeah, and April.
And April, and Andrew didn't make it, but it was
Steve.
Yes, yeah. We had plenty of people here representing.
Plenty of Packers fans, and
that was a fine welcome.
And I was lucky I got here when I did because I was able to sit down and enjoy the 14 seconds of the game in which the Bears were not trailing. So that was a highlight for me. 0-0 in the first quarter was the highlight. So that happened. So then I just decided to get really drunk. So then the next day, Monday morning. We wake up in a hungover haze, and we have a puppy dog that needs to be walked. So we go out for a walk, and it's, 8 o'clock in the morning. And it turns out in the desert of Arizona, it's super bright. The sun is actually fucking shining really brightly all the time. So we walk out of the house, and immediately... we got the dog on the leash, and immediately my girlfriend's like, oh, we need hats. I'm like, I'll be right back. All of our shit is still, we didn't unpack, football night. We just got here and started drinking, and I started taking abuse from Packers fans immediately. And so it's now the next morning. All of our shit is still packed up. We've just got the bare bones essentials. I don't have any hats. I don't have hats in the travel bag. So I'm like, well, I'll just get a hat. We're staying in the tiny house, the orange house, right there on the south wall of the safe house.
It's like a guest house. We call it the little house.
Is it the little house?
Yeah.
It's the one in between a whiskey girl and nowhere man's house and the main house, and we're staying in there. So I'm like, well, there's probably there's shit everywhere here, and by shit I mean cool stuff.
You look around, it's like a mercantile with no price tag.
There's got to be a fucking hat.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be that difficult. So I go into the house and I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, on top of the fridge. Oh, here's a hat right here. So I pick up this trucker style baseball cap, and I go to put it on my head. I'm like, oh, this will work perfectly. It'll be fine. But luckily, I read it first because it says in bold, like it's like a trucker cap, like a Judah Friedlander 30
like the
Rock
foam front
right.
and then the mesh
back. Like the one
yeah.
that Judah Friedlander always wore on 30 Rock. It had
with the snaps in the back.
Yeah, and on the front of it. It says in capital letters in a giant font, like it's
iron-on transfer type.
Right, and the font is big, like the Chicago Tribune is declaring that the Japanese have bombed Pearl Harbor.
Dewey defeats Truman.
Right. So it says emblazoned on the front of this trucker's cap. It says "nigger it up." So I'm like, oh, maybe I won't wear this on the first day. I guess the moral of the story is read your clothing before you wear it, kids. Because that's quite a first impression for my new neighbors in Bisbee to just throw the hat on, take the dog out, wave at everybody. Morning, how you doing? Hey, just came to town, just got here. Pleasure to meet you. Beautiful day. Nigger it up.
There's someone friendly here. Why does everyone keep looking at us weird?
Yeah, and then you make some friends with people you don't want to be friends with. Like, wait a minute. So yeah,
he says we're having a rally later.
Yeah, exactly. I made a bunch of new friends. So that was within the first 18 hours of being here, and here we are. It's Veterans Day, Chaille. Did you know that?
I do. That
It's,
means UPS showed up, but the United States Postal Service did not.
They need the day off to honor our veterans. It's Veterans Day, which for me doesn't mean a lot because as an Erickson, I come from a long line of cowards and draft dodgers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But thank
I'm familiar
you.
with your work.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. My dad, my grandpa Don Erickson, got out of World War II because he had flat feet. Like, isn't that like the most hackneyed, cliched reason? Like, you didn't think that was actually even a real reason?
At a point, you couldn't even get out for sucking dick.
Yeah.
But you could get out for flat feet.
You can't go. Yeah. You got to stay here.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to go, and he got his wife pregnant with my dad. And then my dad, I was born in 1967, and my dad, when I was growing up in the 70s, my dad would always tell me, he's like, whenever I would fuck up or do something, my dad would say, the only reason you're even on this earth was to keep me out of Vietnam. And that war's over. Yeah, so
didn't that mean like you could do whatever the fuck you wanted to because you
think
kept
that
him from
meant
going to war?
Well, you'd think.
I mean, if you think about it.
Maybe. I wasn't thinking it through that way. I think what he was trying to point out was that my usefulness had fucking ended and the war was done and he wasn't going to go anywhere, so straighten your shit out. But, yeah, so it's Veterans Day, which I guess I just want to say thank you to all of our soldiers. Without you, who would be the worldwide police force for the America Corporation? I mean, you're very vital and important, and thank you for all you do. If you were in a war that was necessary, like the Civil War, or
was the Civil War necessary?
It was necessary because those racist fucking cocksuckers in the South. I've been watching Deadwood, so it's kind of. Well, the Civil War was necessary, man. I mean, when half the country decides they don't want to be part of the country anymore, that's a war.
There's a reason to
right. And World War I and World War II, necessary wars. The rest of them, if you went to it, I'm sorry. If you got drafted, I'm sorry. You shouldn't have gone, but you did, and that's brave. But if you just anybody who's joined the service after the draft, if you volunteer, you signed up to be in the army of your own free will. I don't understand why you think you need to be thanked for that. You don't just stare at me silently. And
I'm waiting to see where this is going. You're teetering on this thing where like you're using knowledge, and we don't ususually have a lot of that on this podcast.
Oh, really? I'm sorry.
No, I thought this go with it. I just don't know where it's going.
This has never happened before?
No.
Sorry. You're Googling facts.
I'm scribbling things, but it's nonsense.
When was the draft?
Look up that word.
It's like
Google this phrase.
You're like Ox in fucking Stripes. Well, I thought I better join the army before I got drafted. There is no more draft, Ox. There was one?
Wait, let me get this straight. The Civil War was within our country?
Yes.
It was both our sides against our sides?
We couldn't lose. That was the best part. Excuse me. You'll edit that cough out, right? There needs to be a cough button. This is a professional pod. I bet you Mark Maron has a cough button in the garage.
I'll put a button there, but it won't do anything to the recording.
It would be nice if there was a button I could put.
Here's my track mouse. Just touch that
blue,
trackball. Yeah.
All right. All right, hang on, let me see if it. Oh, it works, dude.
Perfect.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I just clicked onto some porn. If you've signed up to be in the Army or any of our armed forces, that's fine. But you know the deal, right? I don't understand. I'm a little tired of the. We've got to thank our troops for defending our freedom and all this shit. You're not defending anybody's freedom. You're not.
I mean, they read papers. They know what's going on.
Right. You know better than that. I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine. Go ahead and do it. But but now you need me to throw you a fucking parade? For a hero, you're sure fucking needy.
But wait, hold on a second. Doesn't this encompass all veterans? Isn't that really what we're thinking of? We're not.
Well, this is why I said at the beginning.
It goes back a long way.
But this is why I said at the beginning. If you were in one of our necessary wars, if you went off in World War II to fight the fucking Nazis, that was a thing that needed to be done. That was a thing that was happening.
They were marching across Europe.
They were fucking, yeah. It turns out Hitler was kind of a dick. So,
and bad breath.
Right? Really?
Yeah.
Bad breath?
Very flatulent as
oh,
well.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he was so angry.
Well, who wouldn't be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the people around him.
Yeah, well, even angry.
They got to put up with it too. They got to pretend like there's no problem.
So, do you think there were lots of moments where, like, he's the big boss. Like, you can't fucking call him out, you know?
Well,
like, do you have to pretend you're not smelling Hitler's fart?
Yeah, like
no,
I'm itching my nose, and you're like blocking. Yeah,
no one can say anything, and Hitler knows he fucking just crop dusted the entire. Or I guess there's got to be a better analogy for that.
Maybe it's like when you live.
It's got to be more of a gassing. He's practicing his techniques on his fucking Nazi cabinet.
Well, maybe
but you'd have to pretend that you didn't, that you weren't smelling it, or you didn't hear Hitler.
No, you
fart.
couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't acknowledge.
You couldn't. Yeah.
But maybe it's like when you live near an airport, you don't hear the.
You just eventually.
You don't hear the planes
just Hitler
coming over.
Farting. Yeah, I mean, like the. Yeah. Like
the Fuhrer.
Yeah. Yeah, the new Nazi is like, oh, do you guys hear it? No, don't. No, we don't even hear those anymore. But my point is that if you
when the other people are talking about it, carpet bomb means a different thing.
Yeah, well, that was his style. He liked to get all of his fucking highest SS officers into a room, and he'd lock them in and then fucking gas them. Trial runs.
Wait a minute, you mean there's no ventilation?
Yeah. So it's Veterans Day, like I was saying.
Where were we?
It's Veterans Day. Clearly, that's what we're talking about. I guess my point is...
the point you were making, I'll remind you...
I don't care about the troops.
No,
fuck them.
Listen, you were saying that when the troops went out and signed up... When the guys signed up to go to war to fight Hitler... There was an objective.
That was a necessary thing,
and this is a world threat.
That was right, and they deserve our thanks for doing something that needed to be done. It's like if you were here at the fucking safe house and you looked around and you said, "Oh my God, someone needs to fucking go around and pick up all the fucking beer cans from the fun house. The football game's over," and then you were the one who did that. Then people would say to you, "Thank you for doing that. That was a nice thing. It needed to be done." That's the soldiers from World War II and World War I. And so that shit needed to be done. But every war since then has either been a mistake or a crime, frankly. So if you sign up, especially people like Korea and Vietnam, I mean, sure, we were helping the people of South Korea in the Korean War, but it was probably still a mistake to do it. And Vietnam was obviously a complete boondoggle. And if you got drafted into those wars, I feel sorry for you, and you were brave to have gone, but you don't deserve thanks. You didn't do anything. You're not, you could have just said, no, I'm not fucking going. And that would have maybe made your life a hell, but it also would have been the right thing to do. So you don't need to be, But after the draft is over, I am not thanking one fucking person after that, because you haven't done anything to help me. You shouldn't want my thanks or need it or feel like you deserve it. You're just a hired gun for America, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But, I want to do comedy. I don't need America to fucking have a parade for me and thank me for it, although they should.
They should.
They should. Yeah, so basically... I'll be selling T-shirts on the Doug Stanhope podcast that say "Fuck the troops."
That's not what you're saying.
That is what I'm saying.
Is it?
No, it's not what I'm saying, but kind of. They just seem like. Here's the thing. All right. So, these soldiers, these poor soldiers, they all suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah. It turns out trying to fucking kill people will fuck with your psyche.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that to yourself. That's my point. You signed up for this. If anyone signs up for the Army now and is unaware of what the fuck is going on in the Army, then you're an idiot, right? Why should I feel sorry for you that you suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder because the series of huts you had to run into in Kabul were booby-trapped and filled with children, and you shot a couple of kids accidentally, and oh my God, it was all terrible. Yeah, it's fucking terrible. You signed up to go to a terrible. You could have not done that. If you don't want to suffer from PTSD, there is a cure for that, and that is don't join the fucking army, you dummy. So happy Veterans Day.
I'm waiting for the second half of the analogy of like cleaning up the beer cans and being thanked.
Yeah.
And then what's the other part of that? Like
the people who think they deserve thanks, who don't really do that much.
But I need the analogy part of like
you mean the
people that hang around the
right.
The
so
compound.
like right. So like if you're like one of those soldiers who's pissed off because you have post-traumatic stress disorder and you can't work, and even though you signed up to be in the army, and now you can't work, and you feel like America doesn't give a fuck about you anymore. All I want to say to you is stop playing video games in Doug's house on the couch and pick up a fucking couple of beer cans after the football game is over. That's all I'm fucking saying. And we will thank you then if you do something that is helpful.
They aren't veterans.
No, I know, but you said the analogy.
No, okay,
you wanted the analogy.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about Chad. I don't know him. He's probably a murderer and a killer, and I don't want to get on his bad side.
Only in his
beginning.
head. Only his head.
Well, that's the only place you need to be a murderer, by the way. That's the important part. If you're a murderer in your leg, you'll probably get people around you will be fine. But if you're a murderer in your head, that's fucking trouble.
Or safer than in real life.
Oh, you mean he plays it out? I just thought you meant he thinks he's one. So I mean that's the first step to becoming one is to believe. You got to believe in yourself. If you're a young.
You haven't met Chad. Chad is.
I like Chad already.
Chad's intense.
Wipes sweat from brow. Gulp. Swallows hard. Gulp. He sounds like a good guy. Voice change.
All right, I have to pee really bad. Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of drinks.
Yeah, we can.
You can keep talking.
Oh well, yeah, sure. Why not?
Or take a break.
Hey, I'll do what I want. This is the Doug Stanhope podcast starring Brett Erickson. So yeah, I'll take a break.
TheShadyDell.com. That is where you stay. If you come to Bisbee and you're staying at the Shady Dell and I'm in town, I will have a beer with you. I won't hang out that long. We're not going to be good friends. I don't want you to fucking tell me you're going to kill yourself. But if you're staying at TheShadyDell.com, vintage trailer park with all 50s, 60s trailers that we live a mile away from, and we look for reasons to go stay there. Come to TheShadyDell.com. Sponsored by. I might even come in and clean your toilet. I don't know. Sex! Rulers of the underpants universe! Sex! Keep your balls off your legs and such.
Sex underwear. Don't have sweaty balls.
Was that good? I don't know.
That's Safety Ram. Yeah. Yeah, he might have to go to the fun house too because he's a ram.
So,
yeah,
where did this ram come from?
Safety. This doesn't make any sense to anybody.
No, we're just talking. I don't.
Okay, good.
Whether it goes
the ram
in.
came from Tampa. It was given to us.
Are you going to talk into the mic, or are you just going to?
I thought we weren't putting this on the air.
But there's no reason to have this in front of you unless you're talking into it.
You just moved it 1/8 of a fucking inch.
And now
Are you kidding me? Like it wasn't recording before? You sounded like you were in Darth Vader's bathroom until Chaille moved the mic 1/8 of an inch. No, I don't want to. No way. Put that on. Thank you, Tracy. Put that on, please, is what you meant to say, Mr. Chaille.
Is this
Safety Ram is a plaster Paris ram painted like the kind of thing you would you make it and then you paint it in like craft class in like 6th grade.
Or you can buy the actual figure and then you just
right
paint it.
and then you right. So this was given to Carrie Mitchell when she left Tampa maybe 10 years ago, and for whatever reason, it was such a dumb gift that whoever gave it to us, it was our friend Marina. She said,
"Oh, remember Marina?
Yeah, you know Marina.
Yeah.
She's fun." So she said, "Yeah, it's a ram." And we're like, "Why a ram?" She goes, "Oh, you're traveling a long way. It's a safety ram. Like it's for safety.
Yeah,
for whatever reason." So we've always had it, and we brought it here. And even though our truck was literally as fucking full as it could be, we had to make room for
Safety
RAM.
That's a good shitty gift for Christmas tag. Yeah. Well, oh, thank you. What's this? That's a safety colander.
It's for safety.
Yeah.
You like safety, don't you? Are you anti-safety?
That's Eskimo fruitcake.
Eskimo fruitcake. That's like, hey, listen, Tracy, there's no need for name calling.
That's
right?
good. The Eskimo fruitcake is our edit point. Okay, so hey, like
Eskimo fruitcake was my rap name when I used to tour Homer. I would play Homer, and then Anchorage, and then Fairbanks.
Well, you did those two shows in Seward.
Seward and Wasilla.
Yeah.
I'm actually half Palin.
Ooh.
Yeah, but the retarded half. I'm the retarded half.
Claiming it.
Yeah. Oh, why not? I mean, it's all about fame.
So I wanted to ask you when you met Doug.
You wanted to ask me, or you are asking me?
Hey, you know what? When did you meet Doug?
Thanks. Doug who? Get it? I met Doug in the fall of 2002 at Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa, Florida, United States of America. And the opening joke that he told, I was opening for him, and he was one of my favorite people in the world, but obviously he didn't know me from Adam.
Okay, hold on. Let me back you up a little bit. Your girlfriend was
Carrie Mitchell,
working there.
She was a bartender and a waitress at the club.
Side Splitters is like this classic 80s style.
Yeah, it's in a strip mall.
And
it's owned by Bobby Jewell, who every comic in the country knows. He's like, we just made fun of Dan Conlon in Peoria.
The last podcast,
right? Who was one of my dearest friends. Dan Conlon is a maniac, but he means what his heart is. Dan Conlon's heart is good. It's good. He really wants to do well. Bobby Jewell's heart is black and cold, and he really is a bad person. That's just the way it is. And so he ran the Side Splitters Comedy Club, and so I was dating Carrie Mitchell, who was working there. So I was also working there that week, and Doug was headlining at his April of 2002. And his opening joke was, hey, I just got back from the Aspen Comedy Festival, and the big topic of discussion was, after 9/11, when will it be okay to do comedy again? Audible gasp from the audience. 9/11 reference. And then he goes, I say June 3rd. Because on 9/11, there were 6,800 people killed at the World Trade Center. Now there's only 2,900 people dead. At that rate, on or about June 3rd, no one will have died at the World Trade Center, and we can finally let fly with the funny. And I was in love right away. And that was back in the day when Doug was still playing clubs that would book him because he was a good touring comic, and the audience was made up of people who, a third of the crowd really liked him and came because it was him, and a third of the crowd came because they liked the club and it was Wednesday, and another third of the crowd came because they got a coupon.
A free appetizer.
Yeah. So I mean, immediately within the first 2 minutes, that's when he walked the room a lot.
I've seen enough.
Right.
Yeah. Chairs scooting back.
Yeah. But it was fucking fantastic. And we've been in fact, Doug was so enamored with Carrie Mitchell and I and our love for each other that he proposed to a lady the next day.
At Side Splitters? In Tampa?
In Tampa.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, you've met her, Renee.
Oh.
He proposed to her next fucking day. She showed up maybe that night or something, and we were all just got really drunk and probably did a bunch of drugs, and we just all were hugging, and we just had the best time, just the fucking greatest time. And maybe it's not causal, but I like to think it is, that he proposed to Renee the next day. Yeah, and that's worked out swimmingly for everyone.
Yeah, a couple of years later, they got fake married at Tommy Rocker's in Vegas.
Absolutely.
With Extreme Elvis naked on stage drinking his own piss.
Yeah, it's a giant, fat Elvis impersonator.
It's a storybook.
Listen, it's actually kind of hackneyed and cliche. A little bit. I mean,
at this point,
God. So that's when I met Doug. So that was a long time ago now, it turns out. And then a year later, he had the first desert party.
Desert party in Panamint Springs.
And
that's when we met.
That's when I met you. He invited me, and I brought Carrie Mitchell and the Tampa crew. And we ended up with the cabin right next to one Ggreg Chaille. And
solo
to
the desert party.
So we meet him, and at one point, me and Carrie Mitchell and Rob and Joe are getting really drunk, and Ggreg is looking through this telescope at the stars, and we're like, "Hey, can we look through your telescope, man?" And we all became really good buddies. And then we ate a bunch of mushrooms, and we started. Here's what I remember about the first desert party, and maybe this is stupid to people who don't have any idea, but I don't really care.
This is 2003.
Yeah.
May.
The
hottest part of the desert,
right?
Where they can't even get anyone to get the rooms. We've rented out the entire block of rooms.
Right. It was easy to rent out the rooms because no one wanted to go there.
No one's there anyway.
In the middle of.
They're usually not painting them and not refurbishing them at that period of time.
So we're hanging out the very first night, and we're having the very first year we had a dinner where everyone got to meet. Because this is the point where it's weird now that because of the desert parties, a lot of us know each other now for a very long time, and we feel like but this is when we were all first meeting. The only thing we had in common was that we all knew Doug.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people were from the message board and like all these people, but we're all meeting, or actually physically meeting for the first time.
I knew Doug and Renee.
Yeah.
Those are the only people that I knew.
I knew Doug.
Yeah.
And
the 3 girls you brought.
And the 3 girls I brought.
Which, by the way, that's a harem.
Yeah.
Bringing out 3 females.
Well, here's the thing, and here's the best part was that it was a great time. And when I remember that Carrie Mitchell and Joe and Ryan were so proud because when Doug blogged about this afterwards, he's like, "Yeah, the first night such and such happened, whatever." He's like, "The next morning I get up, and the only people up are Erickson and the Tampa crew, and then parentheses, the only real professionals out here." Yeah. These bitches know what they're doing. No. They're professionals. So anyway,
and so professional, they didn't laugh at all the losers.
No.
Who went to bed before 8 a.m.
Well, here's the difference. Here's what I've noticed about Carrie Mitchell and the Tampa girls that I've hung out with down there is that and this is going to sound extremely sexist, I guess, but I don't mean it to be. A lot of times you meet a girl and the partying aspect of it is, "Oh my God, I've had 12 spritzers and I'm so wasted. Oh, I'm going to have a 13th. I had 13 last." These are the kind of bitches who don't tell you the shit they're doing.
Yeah.
They're keeping everything on the super secret down low. And then later, if you're cool enough to hang out with them, they're like, "Hey, psst, come over here. Have some of this."
2 a.m. they have a cold beer. It's like, how the fuck?
Where did you get that?
When we walked in, jackass, you always throw 3 beers in the crisper because no one's going to look there.
No one looks in the crisper. And you're like, "That's very cool." And then you pop the beer and they're like, "Here, snort some of this." All right, perfect.
Where the fuck
Where did you get that?
You don't know the Tampa Scrape?
Yeah.
You know the Tampa Scrape?
Tampa Scrape. Exactly right. So that was the crew, and that was the first year. But this was my favorite part of that, is that the very first memories of that was we were at this dinner, and it's like an outdoor barbecue thing.
First night, no one knows anyone.
No one knows anybody.
The gal who owned the place at the time, who no longer owns it, she decided, "Hey, I'll do a barbecue dinner for everyone, like $12 a head, the chicken and burgers,
right? And
we'll feed everyone here." That was the first and only time they ever did that,
right?
And that's what you're talking about,
right?
And no one knew anyone, so you were sitting like park bench style at tables where you had to either look like a douche and eat by yourself, or you talk to the people.
Or you had to talk to,
with.
and then we all started to get to know each other. And then all of a sudden there was some sort of commotion. And I look up and there's this guy on the road across the street and down the hill, maybe an eighth of a mile away down the hill, a naked man on rollerblades. And I'm like, and everyone's like pointing, like, "Oh my God, what the fuck?" And at that point, I don't know that any of us, I certainly didn't, knew if he was part of what we were doing. I mean, there was a lot of weirdness happening out there. That
you
at
didn't know what goes on in Death
right?
Valley.
And at this point, we don't all know each other.
Night.
This could be how they do it. So but immediately the Skyline crew, Cliffy and the gang from the Skyline
Comedy.
Which I take it back. I actually did know the Skyline crew because they're part of my area.
But Skyline Comedy Club, Cliffy,
in Appleton. Yeah. And he brought a giant slingshot water balloon launcher. So immediately we're like, oh, we know exactly how to handle this naked rollerblader problem. And we start launching fucking water balloons at this guy from an eighth of a mile. They're majestically flying through the air. And they start to land around him. And that's when he's like, oh, fuck. And he's he's trying to go back up this hill on his rollerblades. And he's being pelted with these water balloons. And he's shaking his fist at us. And I thought it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. So later I find out, well, this guy, he's part of the crew. I see this kid later, and he's
not a local.
He's wasted. This kid is wasted out of his mind, and he goes and he passes out in Doug and Renee's cabin, the main fucking cabin, and he's wearing these overalls, and he's already puked once, and he's like a hot mess. So a couple hours later, he wakes up and he comes out of the front of Doug's the main cabin. And everyone's cheering oh, he's up. And he's like, yeah. And he does his obligatory, I'm up thing. And then everyone's looking at him, so he's trying to do something funny. So he goes along the little walkway. The steps was just lined with, half full cups and beers and shit. And he starts doing the fucking Caddyshack Spalding thing at the country club where he just starts, everyone's cheering and he's waving and he starts pounding these fucking half
empty drinks.
Yeah. And then as if it's a scene, he gets a fucking butt filled, right. Just like it's from fucking Caddyshack. And he immediately starts he's going to throw up again. And I'm like, this fucking kid is out of his mind. So 5 minutes after that, Carrie Mitchell and I are walking out of our cabin, and at this point we're eating some mushrooms and we're fucking giggly and we're the stars are all shiny and blah. And all of a sudden we see this fucking same kid coming toward us and we're giggling like he can't see us, oh my god, here comes that kid, giggly. And he looks at us and he goes, hey, see you at the after party. And I fucking lost my shit. This, how fucking funny was that? So then the next thing that happened is that right after that is when we really met you and really got to know you. On the porch. Yeah. And we went, and that's when we went out on the road, the one highway that runs past Panama.
The only. The one.
Right.
The only.
Well, actually one means only, but let's not fucking quibble. So it goes forever. It's just a straight line down into the valley and back up the other side. I mean, it's probably 6 or 7 miles to the top of the other plateau.
You can see
whatever it is.
You can see until the road disappears.
Right. You can see a car coming at night for 45 minutes before it gets there.
Yeah.
And so we go walking down this road, and it's me and you and Joe and Carrie Mitchell, and we're all tripping on mushrooms, and we're giggling, and we're fucking, and we're
first time I ever did mushrooms, by the way.
Really?
First time ever.
But we're just having, we're all just hugging and laughing. It's the time of our fucking lives, and we're a couple of miles down the road, and all of a sudden we hear this fucking weird sound behind us, and we're like, what the fuck? And at first it's everyone thinks they're the only person who's fucking hearing this weird.
You look around.
What? Yeah, what the fuck? Is that from the sky or is... Or what the fuck is that? And then all of a sudden we all realize that we're all hearing it. So it's a real thing that's happening. And we're like, what the fuck? And then we realize that somebody is fucking coming up this road, on foot, I guess, maybe. It's just weird. So we all just dive off the edge of the road into the ditch, into the shoulder.
Yeah.
There's enough of a ditch. We kind of just hide down into the rocks and gravel. And then and it's fucking, I don't know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. It's pitch black out.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of the fucking desert. It's pitch black. And we're on the only highway through there. So all of a sudden, past us, silently and quickly, is this a vision of a fucking person, right? I guess maybe a person. It looked like a superhero running. When you're tripping, we were, Like it looked like the Bionic Man, like the old. Yeah, but it even looked like that because you're seeing tracers off of him as he's running. Like, and then we all look at each other like we're all super quiet because we're freaked the fuck out,
huddled down in a shoulder.
Yeah, we're like, holy fuck, did that just happen? Like a fucking ghost just ran past us. So then, so after he's gone, we hop back up on the road and we walk for a little while and we start giggling and we kind of forget it's even happened and we walk all the fucking way back to the house, the main place. The main place, yeah. And that's when we all camp out on these recliners right in the front of the place. Now, the main party is happening behind the place in front of Doug's main cabin, which is like...
There's a kind of like a bent line of 12 cabins.
Right.
And then a main cabin that had a couple extra rooms.
Right.
Which was like, that was the place where everyone who didn't have
and
a
that
place
was where
stayed.
the party was. Right.
But this, and then like between that big cabin and the main place where you checked in and there was a restaurant, that line of cabins, there was a road, like a little access that you would park your car.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about that road. I'm talking about in front of the main road. Maybe you don't remember this. We sat in the recliners in front of the main fucking road.
I'm just saying,
I'm sorry.
The way it's set up is it goes highway, check-in spot, access road to the cabins, the cabins, and then a back. So like it just kind of went in layers back there.
Right.
And parties would like break out in the cabins, out in front where we were, and way back in that other area.
Right. So we're sitting on these reclining chairs in front of the whole place, right on the highway, and we're still just tripping balls and drinking and giggling, and all of a sudden, out of the nothingness comes this fucking sound again, and we all look at each other like, "Oh my fucking god!" And then all of a sudden, like out of the blurry fog comes this vision, and it's a real person, and he just comes. And he runs right up to us and fucking stops. And we're all like, holy fuck. And we look up and it's the same fucking guy. It's the same guy on the rollerblades we were shooting the water balloons at. It's the same guy who passed out early in the overalls and who fucking drank the cigarette butts. It's the same guy who said, "Hey, I'll see you at the after hours." And he fucking runs up and he's perfectly fucking sober and awesome and on point, and it's fucking Andy Andrist. That's how I met Andy fucking Andrist. I'm like, "Are you for real, dude?" He's like, "Hey, man, yeah. And from that point on, like, yeah, Andy.
And it's been that ever since.
And it was Andy. He was so fucked up and if you know Andy, he runs. So like the only way he could shake it off, like he had to fucking shake it off, is that he went to his tent, he changed into running clothes, and he took off on a fucking 6 or 7 mile fucking run at 2 a.m. in the middle of the fucking desert, and he ran past us. But we were freaking, like who the fuck? Why would we think there is someone from the party jogging at fucking 2 a.m.?
It's all about us.
It has to be. Well, it has to be some sort of fucking ghost mushroom runner. But yeah, Andy Andrist. And he was king of the party that year, and he was fucking well-deserved.
Well, after that, Andy that year, actually 2 years in a row, he kept showing up doing things that were just fucking amazing. Because later on, after he did his run, I remember we were sitting on those lounging... Like pool loungers, recliners.
Yeah, total.
And we were just kicking back, talking, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it was like a couple levels. Like there was the parking lot level, then there was the stairs, like 6 steps up. Then it was a little bit of a landing. Then it went a couple stairs up. And then it was like where the veranda was.
Yeah.
And then you would walk into the building. At one point, we were just sitting there talking on like the lower level.
Yeah.
And a... like radio flyer
Red
wagon.
That was right after that.
Flew out, and it was Andy.
Yes,
like jumping the steps.
Well,
and
this
landing.
Is it, because that's the next chapter to the story. Because once you realize it's Andy Andrist, and if you know Andy, then you know that once Andy realized he was killing with us, like we were shrooming and laughing, and we were laughing at everything he said. Well, now that he's found an audience that loves him, like all of a sudden he's now on. So yeah, the next thing he did was come flying past us in an old radio flyer wagon. Yeah, all fucking pell-mell and fucking bloody and fucking dusty and wiping out in the fucking gravel for our entertainment.
Didn't he paint himself?
Painted himself completely blue.
Was it blue?
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't it blue? It looked blue to me,
I thought it was
man.
Silver.
It might have been silver. It might have been silver. It might have been silver. I think it was silver.
Yeah.
But it was Blue Man Group style. Like he was completely fucking.
Completely. Like his back.
Yeah.
He
And
had
then
someone do his back.
I think at some point someone even said, "Is that the kind of paint you should be putting on your?" Well, I don't know.
Those aren't the questions you ask someone who's painted themselves in the desert.
No, it's just semi-gloss latex. I got it from the fucking shed behind the restaurant.
So Panamint Springs Resort in Death Valley, the only resort in Death Valley. People go there. We don't anymore. I don't know why.
Go there. It's overrated. Too many Germans. When 2 years ago, I went on the road with Doug with Jeff Tate, and we had a lot of fun. And
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. I was telling you, and you were there. But when we set that up, I got a phone call from the Scotsman, Brian Hennigan.
Wait, when they were setting up you going on tour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's how Brian Hennigan called me and said, and I can't do a Scottish accent, so you just have to add it in yourself.
Let me see if I can do it. Tell me what to say.
He said, how about you just tell me what Hennigan would be telling me because of...
But I want to know what he told you.
Well, here's what he told me.
I'll edit this creatively.
Oh, you can? Okay,
yeah.
Okay, so he told me that Doug wanted to do a tour. He wanted me to go on a tour with him, and he said, but there was one stipulation, and that was that I had to have merch. And did I have any merch? And I said, no, I don't have any merch right now. And he said, well, you have to have merch. And then I said, but I don't have any merch. And he said, well, Doug said that he's not taking any comedian on the road with him who's too fucking stupid not to have merch. So at that point, I got Dan Conlon, our favorite crazy comedy club owner, who's nice enough from the Jukebox Comedy
Illinois.
Club in Peoria, Illinois, that you should probably go see Andy Kindler coming up in 2 weeks. Dan was nice enough to give me a week of headlining work so that I could record it and make a CD, which I titled Merch, and which is available somehow. I don't know how, but maybe.
You don't even know how?
I don't even know. I don't even think I have any left. I don't know where. They're in storage. I'm creating more value by not allowing them to be.
No, I get it.
Fucking
and then
smart, dude.
You're doing the bootlegs on eBay,
dude. If you want to come record me and fucking put it out there like it's it's Humphreys McGee, I'm fucking down. Do it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah,
I was going to do
merch.
the Hennigan, but then you just kept going.
I'm sorry, I forgot you were editing.
I know.
Yeah,
that's
well,
all right.
But that's so that's how that went down. I forgot why we brought that up. I think the pop-off vodka is kicking in.
I love that sound.
Yeah?
Yeah. Where did you get that?
You mean, where did I get this Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville Cougars?
I just see the SIUE.
And you don't know what that means?
No.
Because
I live in the real world.
I pay for my daughter to go to college, and in return, I get this.
Are you still paying?
Yeah.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
Well, I mean, at the moment, I'm not if you don't buy some merch, fucking assholes.
And where do you buy that merch?
DougStanhope.com, I believe.
How do you profit from that?
How do I profit from that? I don't profit from that.
So
oh, you mean my merch? You can't get it.
That's what I meant.
Eventually, you'll be able to get it, but seriously, by then there's like so few copies floating around. It's gonna be so valuable, dude. My goal is to only have one CD, like one. I think Wu-Tang did this. But you only have one, then someone's going to pay like a lot of money for it. You only got to make one.
Oh, one disc.
One
disc.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you think that's possible?
No.
No.
I don't know. Yeah. I guess not. But I have a
daughter that you're
a
paying.
thermos. I was going to say a thermos, but you say daughter. I have a thermos.
That's not a thermos.
It is a thermos. It's
a thermos has a screw top.
No, this is a fucking progressive space age thermos.
No, that's a.
Listen to this. This is a thermos, and it will keep your drink, as a thermos will, hot and or cold. And this thing is fucking badass. Like you can pour coffee into this, and tomorrow it will burn your fucking mouth.
And how much are you selling those for on your website?
I will sell these on my website.
Or that one.
on BrendanWalsh.org. It's the only, I have the one.
BrendanWalsh.org.
BrendanWalsh.org.
Right.
It's $350, and I'll sell it to you. And
That
it'll come filled with pop-off vodka and iced tea and lemonade.
Wouldn't it be better, like, actually, it is going to arrive at your door with hot coffee? Because that's the claim.
It actually would be better. It'll fucking burn you.
Yeah.
It really is good. So my daughter went to college, and in exchange for my paying for her college, I get a thermos.
Erickson, I want to make this distinction. The only reason you're sitting here across from me is because Doug's in Australia, and
Right.
it's her first moments in college.
She's a freshman.
She just started college.
Yeah. So once they go to college, you're done parenting, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure.
I think a lot of people have different opinions of when
Yeah,
it
well,
starts
people
and
are
stops.
stupid. I think we've established that here on the podcast. People are fucking idiots. Once my daughter's 19 years old, she can do what the fuck she wants.
Oh, okay.
I'm basically I'm leaving. Goodbye. If my fucking kids are
Wait,
so fucking
you just said you're
shitty-
leaving?
I'm
You
leaving.
left,
Goodbye.
motherfucker.
I left. Well, I was recreating a dramatic moment.
Is this you telling them?
Yeah. Hey, I'm fucking leaving.
Hey, by the way,
Give me my thermos from your college.
the reason the light's not on.
Ouch,
the
I
porch-
burned my fucking mouth. God damn it, I put coffee in this yesterday. It is good, though. Yeah, so...
BrendanWalsh.org.
BrendanWalsh.org, $350. I feel like this, my kids are 21 and 19. If either one of my kids say to anyone in their lives, yeah, my dad fucking left. Oh, really? Your dad left you? Yeah, I was 21. I could barely fucking blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? That's kind of, really?
I had to not pay for college.
Yeah, I had to pay for my own phone bill on my own.
I mean,
Gosh, your dad sounds like a real fucking monster.
after I went over my overages.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah. Well, I mean, they cover the main part of it, you know. I cover 1/3 of the overages, and they don't even do that, by the way. Just for the record, they're still fully
You
funded in
cover
the
that,
telephone bill.
even
Well,
for the example of making
right.
a point.
It would be
you couldn't
funnier.
Even give them the
it
bit.
would actually be funnier if they paid some of their bill, but they don't. They don't.
But you couldn't incorporate that into like
I know.
the ridiculousness of it.
You'd think a better comic would.
Erickson, you've been.
If I was a comic worthy of touring Australia right now, I probably could have spun that into something.
Erickson, you've been talking about what you're doing right now,
Yeah?
basically since I met you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Doug talked about that. I don't know if he brought it up, but in previous podcasts, he has talked about you opening for him and being this fucking crusher comic that can handle the fucking.
Well, let's see if he
deal.
can fucking follow me first. How about that?
Really?
No.
Isn't that all he did on tour?
Well, I mean, he went
Isn't
up
that
after.
the way-
I mean, yeah, he went up
Isn't
after
that
I
the
went
way-
up. I mean, technically, if you're counting chronologically, yeah, he followed me. But I
Or
mean,
the-
did he really?
He paid you and you didn't pay him. Yeah.
Oh, there's that part of it. He paid me really good money, and I gave him nothing in return, other than
like an asshole that he is.
yeah, he's a buzzkill.
Making you go first and taking
Oh
money.
my God! Taking
Instead of-
all the slings and arrows up front. I mean, comics know that's the fucking brutal part. I mean, if you can go up after someone's fucking taking all that shit, and it's just fucking, it's a walk in the park. I'm doing the fucking heavy lifting here, and Stanhope comes in at the last minute, says a couple of outrageous things, makes some references nobody understands.
Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah. Fucking chugs his fucking drink, wears a suit that looks really funny, and now he's a fucking comedy genius. Meanwhile, I'm out in the fucking alley.
The trenches.
I'm out in the alley talking to my kids on the phone. Yeah, kids, I'd love to be with you and help you with your homework, but fucking Doug Stanhope making me fucking be in Saginaw, Michigan right now at this fucking terrible theater. I gotta fucking open up for this fucking guy. You guys want to go to college, right? This is what I gotta do.
Hold on a second. I gotta talk to this.
Yeah.
dude.
Oh,
I'm getting
yeah.
some coke.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Hang on. This wink, wink.
No, it's my kids. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, they're cool.
So what's a half?
My kids are
what's
cool.
a half? Are you gonna drink?
No, I want that. I'm establishing a thing. It's going to be like, you know how, I'm about to ask you the dumbest question of all time. You know how comedians do callbacks? I'm eventually, like, I want to associate this sound. You said you liked it. I want to associate it with me. Can you hear that? Oh, you got your headphones on? So that eventually I can just eliminate myself from actually talking. Like, I want to be like a Zeppo Marx, where I'm just... That's all I am anymore is just the sound of a thermos full of vodka jiggling in the ice.
I think you need to explain who Zeppo Marx is.
Is that even the right Marx brother? I'm not even positive it is. Which one?
Harpo was the one that didn't talk.
Which was the one that had the fucking horn that he fucking? That was Harpo. Then Harpo. All right, it's Harpo then.
Yeah,
See, I didn't even know which one it was. Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what eventually.
Zeppo talked. Zeppo was like the greasy like.
Hey, racist.
Oh shit! No, that was Chico.
Eventually,
Chico was the greasy one.
Clearly.
Zeppo was the smooth operator, right? Because
I thought Groucho was.
No, Groucho was like the in-your-face guy.
You know who Groucho always reminded me of?
And no one
Alan
ever-
Alda from MASH.
Yeah.
That's a dumb joke because he always did the Groucho impressions.
Yes.
All right, never mind, you guys.
So
edit that out.
But
later.
okay, here, ready?
We'll fix that in post, you guys.
The thing with Groucho, no one ever like mentioned anything that he had like paint on his face.
The mustache?
Yeah, or the eyebrows, right?
Was it the eyebrows?
Did he have eyebrows?
Yeah, maybe.
But like, no one said like, "Hey, doofus."
Hey,
What did
fucko.
Yeah, fucko. Oh no, he died in.
So maybe it was like the same sort of vibe around the Marx Brothers that Hitler had when he would fart on the fucking on the Nazis. Like no one wanted to say anything. Like, hey, fucking don't mention any. This fucking guy drew a mustache on his
Ladies and
goddamn
gentlemen,
face.
Brett just experienced a callback.
It was a callback, comedians. It's called being a good comedian. Richard Pryor did nothing but callbacks his whole fucking career. Every show, nothing but fucking callbacks.
I said experienced. I meant displayed.
Display. Oh, well done. Oh, here's something I wanted to mention.
The fact that Zeppo did talk and you meant Harpo.
I meant Harpo.
Yeah.
Listen, listen. If you're the kind of person who's sitting out there going, "Fuck this guy, doesn't know his Marx Brothers,"
And they're like, who are the Marx Brothers?
and
You're like way off.
Yeah,
base.
listen, I enjoyed Brett Erickson's contribution to the Doug Stanhope podcast right up until the goddamn point that this fucking cocksucker doesn't know the difference between Harpo and Zeppo Marx. Fuck him. If you're that guy, you know what? I'm cutting you loose. You're free to fucking not like me.
When Brett Erickson was really talking shit about veterans and really
that's fine.
hammering it home that they deserve no fucking kind of like congratulation for your service.
Fuck them.
I was okay with that.
Yeah.
But when he couldn't discern
Are you
between the guy who
serious?
didn't talk
You
and
don't know
played a
which-
harp expertly
which-
and a guy who was a schmarmy dude who fucking ended up getting cut after the first three fucking harp
Oh,
Marx
really?
Brothers.
Zeppo never even made the cut.
Zeppo, like, he was in
out.
and out.
Yeah.
He was like Richie Cunningham's brother after like 2 shows.
Chuck.
Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Gone, right?
Is that what happened?
Ba-boom!
See?
Right there.
Greg Chaille just did a callback. Nicely done.
He experienced the call.
We all experienced a callback.
Like hot
Here's what I was going
flashes.
to say. I know that I'll probably be the only person who your lovely lady, Miss Tracy, is with me on this. I know, and maybe you are
we'll
too. I
see.
don't know.
We'll see.
No, I promise she is. I am a. And I say this the same way I mention to people that I don't eat meat, because it's like one of these things you say and you're like, you expect blowback. Like, oh God, I am a fucking a grammar file. Like I did radio for about 7 years before I started doing stand-up comedy. So I did a lot of radio.
How long ago was that?
I did radio from 1990 to 1997.
Admirable.
Yeah.
What did you do on the radio?
I was a radio DJ. Are you kidding me? I had a
like-
morning radio show in Peoria, Illinois.
Okay, fucking.
What do you mean, what did I do on the radio?
Back up. All right, there's people
What
who
do you mean
there
back up? They don't. Okay, I'm sorry. What?
There are. You want me to do radio? Beep, boop. Hey,
Yeah.
we're backing up here.
Yeah.
Okay, when you say you do radio, a lot of people don't even know what radio is anymore because they got podcasts and shit like that. When you did radio, you could be a guy who just like did voice tracks. You could be a guy who did songs. You could, if you did the morning show, then you could be.
I did the morning show.
You could be the host. You could be the co-host. You could be
I
the
was
fucking. You could be the sports guy. You could
I
be
was-
the weather guy. You could
I
be the guy in
was-
the street.
I was the #1 afternoon drive jack on Country 104.9 WXCL in Peoria, Illinois from 1994 to 1996.
That's very specific.
So you fucking asked, buddy.
That's what I wanted
And then
to
I
know.
did some morning shows, and
What did you
I
do on the
some
morning
radio.
show? What did you
I
do
was
on
the
the
host of two different morning
The
radio
lead guy?
programs.
The lead guy? Did you run the
fucking
board?
Guy. Listen, here's what you need to know about Peoria radio in the 90s. It was all about the morning zoo. Like everyone had to have the morning zoo. Craziness, this wild craziness. But
I'm trying to make you feel at home.
No, I made the mistake of working for a company that thought you should do that by yourself. So I was like, when you say, oh, so you were the lead guy, you were the news guy, you were the sports guy? Yeah, I was all those fucking guys. Well, we had a news guy that would come in, and we had a girl who did the weather, but we had
at the 20s.
We had four. We had
at the 7s.
No, listen. Well, it was different on each station because we had 4 stations, and they worked for all 4 of them. So they would fucking rotate
each one
down the booths, and I was the fucking. I had them for the first 4 minutes.
And if you weren't on your clock,
you were fucked. There we had to go to the next.
Yeah, they got to get over to KFWB.
The reason I even brought any of this up is because one of my super fucking radio pet
no one
peeves,
wants to know about it.
Well, no, one of my I'm a fucking grammar-phile, right?
Yes.
So, and one of my super pet peeves was this, and lots of radio DJs do this. So for me to pick on my old stamping ground of Peoria, Illinois, and the radio station I used to listen to for doing this, they're not unique in doing this at all.
No.
But there's a difference between the words titled and entitled. If you have a band and you have an album, you title it something. You don't entitle it.
Yes.
Like there's nothing. Here, this such and such band has a new album entitled, blah blah blah. No, it's not entitled. It's entitling. Entitlement is something is feeling. What's the definition of entitlement? Feeling like you deserve something.
Yes.
Right. It's not that you named it that. That's titled. That's the word titled. And I know that radio is dead. And it's in its death throes, and the people who are still on it are just the people who are
not according to people in radio.
Well, of course, but the people who are in radio now, they should understand that they are the September call-ups of radio. Like they're the guys who hey, listen, we got 20 more games to play, and we're 50 games out of first place. We're gonna let you guys fucking play shortstop and go up and do some hitting. But there's it's going to end. There's a finite end to this, and it's very, very soon.
We see the end.
Right. So the people who are on the radio now are these people, and they don't understand. It pisses me off as a former. I shouldn't say pisses me off. I don't really care, but I notice it. Back in the day, you used to be on the radio, and there was a thing. It was a thing to be on the radio because you were licensed by the FCC. The community that you lived in gave you your radio station an FCC license. You were the professional broadcasters of your goddamned community. So you'd think those people would be the people who knew what words meant. And when they said words, would understand.
Communication.
I was a communications major, and I graduated from a college. So when I hear these easily fixable mistakes, I fucking get pissed off. So let me just tell you that mistake number 1 and pet peeve number 1 is the difference between the words titled and entitled. If you are an artist and you have a painting, or you are a band and you have an album, or you are a comedian and you have a DVD, it is titled whatever the fuck you want to title it, but it is not entitled to anything other than hanging out on a fucking box under your house and not being sold because people who listen to your podcast aren't buying enough merch. It's really interesting to me now, looking back on it, that I chose a field. I went to college. I was in college.
To do that?
Well, I didn't go there to do that. I went to college to go to college to fucking get laid and smoke weed and drink.
Yeah. Like your daughter now?
Hey, she's a good girl. Damn it.
On her own.
Like my son.
Is he going to a different college?
He's going to a different college. My daughter, there's a difference between my kids. My daughter I was talking to her yesterday, and she's like, if I get one more A on one more test, I don't have to take any of my finals because I'll have all A's in all my classes, and you don't have to take the finals if you have all A's. And my son, I'm like, have you gotten a job yet? He's like, what? Who is this? So he's a couple years farther in school than her.
Aren't you so glad you waited this long to come to Panamint?
To
come down to the
yeah, it was totally worth it.
House?
I totally raised him right. Yeah, now I already forgot what I was talking about.
I was saying some nonsensical shit about my life in radio.
Oh, yeah, I went. This is what I was going to say. It amazes me to think about the fact that I went to school and was trained and worked in for 7 years in the 90s, a field that is completely obsolete and going to be absolutely gone. I mean, there's still going to be some talk radio stations, but only a handful across
They'll
the country.
be local. Like I always wanted Doug to set up a local like pirate radio here because A, no one would fucking care, right? And B, it is relevant. Like if you
to the locals, it's like Chris in Northern Exposure. You're actually talking to the people. You're legitimately talking to the people. When I first started doing radio in Peoria, I was a part-timer, and then I got my first full-time job in this little town called Princeton, which is this little town in Illinois, which is right by where I grew up. So, but it was my first full-time job, so fuck yeah, I'm going to take it. So I was the morning show host on the FM station, and I did this wacky morning show, and then at 10 a.m. I went over to the AM station and I did a 1 hour interview show.
That's old school.
Listen,
you leapfrogged.
Yeah, absolutely. But this was the kind of town and the kind of radio station where the people were actually listening to the station, like they wanted
all day,
and the information we were disseminating was actually impertinent to their fucking lives. Which will that on some level that will still survive, but the radio thing is over. Like I got into radio because I wanted to be Dr. Johnny Fever. I wanted to be
WKRP.
I wanted to be stoned and off work at 10 a.m. That seemed to me like a fucking perfect plan, right? So that worked for a while, but it blows my mind that the job like if someone would have said to me in 1989 while I was a senior in college that the whole thing you're doing is pointless because in 20 years, there's going to be this thing called the internet. There's going to be this thing called Pandora and Spotify, and it's all just going to go away. I would be like,
podcasts?
Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's all going to go away. I would be like, but that's the fact of the matter, you know? And good. Because I had this conversation with a friend of mine who was like, one of these people who was immediately nostalgic for anything that's old. And I'm like, yeah, we're talking about radio.
Pet rocks and hula hoops.
Right. She's a girl who was like, it's a girl I worked with. My swimming pool job, super sweet girl, but she's like, yeah, that's too bad about, it's just too bad there's no DJs anymore. I'm like, no, it's not too bad, because here's why. DJs are fucking idiots. If they had any talent at all, they would be doing something else in the entertainment field, because radio DJing is the bottom rung of the fucking, of it all. It's not even as you don't even have to have as much talent as a party hosting DJ, because those people are in front of people. Like a radio DJ,
eye to eye, face to face,
absolutely, way tougher.
The DJ has the anonymity and the distance. Like they can run here we go. The reel to reel. You run the reel to reel while the song's playing, and you record the jackasses that call in, and it's the same three people all fucking day.
And and there's no I mean, it's the bottom rung of the entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's fake celebrity. I always called it.
Yeah.
Being on the radio was fake. You felt you were, and your employee, like the coworkers, you were made to feel like you are more than what you really are.
Right.
But when you go out to do a fucking in-store, you know exactly who you are.
Oh, my God. Well,
three guys wearing diapers and one girl who thinks she's hot.
And you're like, hey, come on down. Dude.
Hey, we're here at the MAPCO. We got some tickets to give away.
I used to, when I worked in Peoria, I used to go every Friday to this giant red boombox that was like the size of a
trailer.
A trailer.
They pulled it.
And it was next to Jim McComb Chevy at the corner of War Memorial and University in Peoria. And I every Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, it was two of us, Chris Michaels and I, we switched shifts, but one of us did Friday afternoon, the other one did Saturday morning, where we were live from it was the rolling radio. Live from the rolling radio. We're here, it was
a big red
boombox. We stood inside of it. And we talked to car salesmen about the fucking, and of course every day and every time it was like, well, Brett, the deals we have today are the best deals we could ever. We got hot dogs. We got Reba McEntire tickets. Like, come on down, dude. So I did that. So here's my point.
By the way,
about this girl who was like nostalgic for old radio. I'm like, no, you know what? Fuck. I'm glad it's going away, because that's the kind of shit. Like, here's the deal. It's evolution. Pandora It just, and I'm not. This is not a commercial for Pandora. I'm just technologically probably 10 years behind everybody else, and I think Pandora is a new thing and it's exciting. But just the idea that an algorithm will decide for you based on your likes and dislikes, songs you like and don't like, and it will pick the songs, and then you can thumbs up or thumbs down them, and it'll hone in even more precisely.
It will
on the
tell
shit
you
like. That is, imagine 25 years ago in radio, if a music director on a radio station, that was his whole fucking job was to decide that shit. And now a simple mathematical equation does that for each single person individually completely differently. That is way better. That's way better. So don't cry any crocodile tears for this fucking Wolfman Jack radio thing that's going away, and everyone's going to be... No, we're not going to be worse off for it. We're all getting better radio. And that's radio, even if you get the free one that has a 30-second commercial every 5 songs, it's still better than having, hey, well, we're coming out of Britney Spears, and it's 37 degrees, and fuck that guy. You don't need that guy. He's not important.
That's also on your smartphone. You can get all that. By the way, Brett, that happened 25 years ago. Yeah. That person said, "Oh, fuck you. That'll never work.
That'll never work.
And those are the same people kicking and screaming, saying like, "No, iHeartRadio is the future of listening experiences for the tweeners or whatever they're fucking trying to sell people right now."
Yeah,
that still goes on because they are clawing at a fucking vertical wall as they scrape down it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are trying, and that's iHeartRadio, and this whole thing. Like, we're going to be we're the thing that's going to make the kids today are going to no. They have no idea.
They're done. Well, you talk about callbacks. We can bring up fucking Dan from the Jukebox Comedy Club in Peoria, Illinois again. I've had this discussion with him a million times because he's old school. He likes to advertise his comedy club on the radio. That's fucking great. That used to be the way it was.
For road.
You got your comedy club advertisements on the morning show, and the comics would go in, they'd crack some jokes, and people would come out to the show, and it was fucking great. But it doesn't work anymore because no one listens to the radio. And I've tried to explain to him, and I will explain to anyone else who cares to listen, my kids are 21 and 19. They don't even know what the fuck radio is. They've never listened to the radio. Never. They've always had some sort of device that gets them the entertainment they need that is not radio at all.
They will go where they're going with no radio rather than not listen to their Pandora.
And maybe, I mean, if you want to, slowly spiral the drain, that's fine. But if you want to still be here in 10 years, I mean, think about this. In 10 years, my kids are going to be 31 and 29, having never listened to the radio. They're going to have kids who are coming up who are the next generation. Right, like you have to figure this out. Like that radio's gone.
They have to sound out the word radio in their head.
Right. To them, radio is a terrible character Cuba Gooding played in a shitty movie. But I spent thousands and thousands of my parents' dollars being trained in how to do this sort of thing that now doesn't exist anymore. It's like going to blacksmithing college in 1903 right outside of Detroit. Like, I think these Ford brothers, fuck them. They're not going to fucking... I'm going to keep learning how to shoe horses.
Actually, you'd be better off with a blacksmithing degree.
Than radio?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like being a traveler.
I have sooner cause to call a blacksmith to the suicide house than a radio disc jockey.
Absolutely. We could be
because right now there's 2 sitting in here, and I can't think of anything that I can have them do.
Are worth a shit for anything. No. We know the difference between titled and entitled. Other than that, fucking not good. I know the difference between second annual and why you shouldn't say first annual. I can fucking explain that to you at length. But, I can't fucking help your horse out. Your horse is fucked. If your horse is walking over gravel, I can't help him.
I know a guy.
Good. Because he's got skills.
Silverton, Colorado.
Right. He's got skills.
It's going to take us a while to get there.
Oh, wait, Colorado? He's probably not going to be able to do it because he's going to be Colorado high. Oh, wait. There was supposed to be an ice jingle right there. We can add that in, right?
I can pull it from the other one.
I drank all my drink and it's gone. But that would have been a callback and a finish right there. That was my closer. Thank you.
Now his was better.
No, he had the thermos tin.
My thermos.
Yeah.
Wait, there it is.
Oh, there you go.
Was I not shaking it right before?
Yeah.
Well, I guess my Parkinson's disease wasn't.
Do you want to end this?
I thought I just did when I did that hilarious callback to Colorado and my ice shaking.
You went dead on that because it didn't go.
I thought you were going to fix that in the editing.
I can fix it.
Now, this is what I've also learned about podcasting is that we make all these jokes about, we'll fix that in editing, blah, blah, blah. But the thing about podcasting is you don't fix anything. It's just you rambling on. And you remember when we did the Doug Big Stink Tour a couple years ago, we listened to podcast after podcast after podcast. My complaint was that it was too loose and disjointed, and you can listen to a guy talk for fucking 8 hours, and what's he even talking about? He's got no direction. But now I've realized that that's the attraction, is that it is a unproduced freeform style. And I just was, because I had been trained in radio and I didn't want to let that go. I was like, well, they're not talking about anything right now.
No, but you made a good point.
Podcasting, dumbass.
No, you made a good point, because we listened to some where we would listen to, I want to say 7 or 8 minutes. And at that point, either you or I said, are we done? We're done listening to this, right?
Yeah.
Because we were just like herky-jerky finding things. And that is the radio thing, is you need to have a point. There needs to be something.
Well, yeah,
unlike this podcast tonight.
Right. I mean, this is the exception that proves the rule.
But when we would listen, we would be listening for something.
Well, what I didn't like originally was that we were listening to some podcast that spent 15 minutes talking about what the podcast was going to be about. Like, you guys know you are doing the podcast now, right? Like, you're already 15 minutes in. You should have been talking about what the first 15 minutes of the podcast was going to be about, because it hasn't been about anything yet.
That record light has been solid the whole time we've been talking.
Always press record. Always press record.
But that's a salient point.
Yes, thank
when
you.
You're talking, there needs to be a point.
It's like that.
Don't talk about what you're going to talk about.
Yeah. Right.
And that's based. Listen, when we're in a room, when we're in a van with it was 3 comics and me driving. When something goes on the podcast machine starts emanating sound.
Right.
There's only so much you can take before you start looking. I start looking in the rearview mirror. It's like, who else is fucking fed up with this?
With this?
And you were the only one who would like either immediately go, yeah, change it, or like, hey, wake me when this gets interesting, or something, right? But that is one of those things. It's like you can't always assume that it's going to be interesting just because it's on the air, and that's what a podcast is.
Right?
It is what it is. Oh, I can't believe I said that. I don't want to say it is what it is, but until someone objects to it and then you move on.
It is.
You're fucked.
Well, listen, what my complaint about podcasting 2 years ago is still my complaint about podcasting, and that is that it's pointless drivel. But it's also the best quality of podcasting, which I didn't realize then. And that's when you say it is what it is. To me, what I'm taking from that is that it is both things. It is pointless drivel and beautiful pointless drivel, because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that unproduced moment. You want to hear what Joe Rogan or Bert Kreischer or Todd Glass has to say. Are you
not saying Bill Burr?
And
motherfucker, are you not saying Bill? We're on the All Things Comedy channel.
Oh, we are. Yes. Well, I thought that was...
Throw Al Madrigal in there too.
Al Madrigal?
Are you
mean
kidding?
My friend Al Madrigal from the old days?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck, Martin Maron, huh? I mean, come on.
He's not on this channel.
He's not on this channel. Fuck that guy. But my point was that we listened to these podcasts, and I heard these guys. When I was trained in radio, you were severely limited in time always. Even if you were I hosted a morning show, but even then you were severely limited in time. You had to get to your fucking point, hit it, and move the fuck on. And podcasting is not that way at all. And I bristled at it at first, but I realized that it's still my number one complaint about podcasting is that sometimes it's just endless bullshit with no fucking direction.
No clock. Hey, we need to get out.
Right. Like, yeah, you can listen to it bounce from topic to topic to topic to topic, and now 3 hours have gone by, and you're like, what the fuck? They never got to some of their points because they keep getting sidetracked on every,
Sure.
But it's also the best part about podcasting because it's unproduced and it's real, and these are these people really actually talking, and that's what I didn't realize then. That's the main attraction for it, is that there is no filter. So this is it. So this has been the Doug Stanhope podcast starring Brett Erickson, featuring Brett Erickson, and also starring Brett Erickson. Produced by Brett Erickson. Tune in tomorrow for more exciting Grammarly tips. Now here's Chad.
No. How do you end the podcast?
How do I end the podcast?
How does the podcast?
I wander off drunk.
How does the Doug Stanhope podcast end?
Wait, is this a quiz? Did I have to fucking listen to the end of the Doug's?
I don't know. What?
It ends with this podcast has been brought to you by Popov Vodka. The
plastic jug vodka.
Listen, if you want me to read a shitty script for your dumb comedian friend, then you fucking give it to me before we go to air, you fucking asshole. You fucking make me look like a dick in front of these people? Are you fucking kidding me? God damn it, Chaille.
God damn it! You have me read this fucking depressing copy, and I go into an up-tempo song, and you motherfucker!
Yeah. Kudos, Casey. Fuck it, I'll do it live!
How do you end the Doug Stanhope podcast?
How do I end the Doug Stanhope podcast? In a suicide house? By blowing my brains out. What? I don't know the answer to this question, Ggreg. Play the Matoid.
A way to sell it.
Hey, I'm fucking reading it upside down, you dick. You could at least fucking write it so I could read it. I'm across the table from you.
Yeah, you did it good.
I thought you were gonna have. Listen, of course I knew that's how the podcast ends. I'm not a fucking dick. I thought, of course, as being a professional podcast producer like you are, you probably had already a downloaded thing.
Flashcards?
No, I thought you already had a downloaded GIF.
Your name
of Doug saying "Play the Matoid," and then you would hit that, and it would sound like Doug was part of this.
He's not
Clearly
here.
Not. Well, I thought you guys were pros, man.
You're featuring on the podcast.
I went.
You're middling on the podcast.
I used to stay at the Kyle Cease's safe house, and I used to do his podcast. And I can tell you, when he was gone, and I would sit in for him. He taught me in his class that he always had his open and his close pre-recorded. So I just kind of thought that's the way comics did it.
How much did it cost for you to host his podcast?
Only my soul. Play the Matoid, Ggreg.
Party time. Party time. Party time. Party time. Drink your drinks and eat your eats. It's party time. Laugh your laughs and heat your heats. It's party time. Smile your smiles and blue your blues. It's party time. Dance your dance and shoe your shoes. It's party time. Howl your howls and suck your socks. It's party time. Oh baby, grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Everybody, grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. One more. Grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Here we go. Party time. Party time. Party time. Yeah. Party time. 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 Hey.
the